Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and I'd like to welcome everyone back to this week's Daki Time. So on this Daki Time, I'd like to thank Thor. Thor has requested this Super 6 Daki Time, and he's asked the Super 6 worst zones in World of Warcraft. Now, I'd like to begin by saying it's actually harder than you think to pick out 6 worst zones. Amongst all the zones in World of Warcraft, I can pick out great zones all day long, but worst zones? So yeah, it's a little bit hard and tricky. So Thor, I really hope I have conveyed this video, and I hope you really do like this video. So thank you so much for asking this. So what this is going to do, guys, is I've broken down each zone, these 6 zones basically, into things I don't like. Not necessarily the whole zone. The whole zone might be really well put together or something, but there might be something about that zone that I really just don't like in particular, and that's why I've broken these 6 down into. So guys, join me as we take a look at my Super 6 worst zones of World of Warcraft. First zone here that I really dislike as much as the others is Eastern Plaguelands. Now this zone is so great in that it has so much lore from the Lich King expansion. It has the Light Hope Chapel, it has Akris, the Ebonhold, and so much more packed into this area. Though one of the off-putting things for this zone is the questing. You start by following Fiona, a Worgen, from tower to tower doing quests and uncovering this zone bit by bit. This is a little bit off-putting in such that it feels repetitive, very repetitive, and a little boring at times. Even though each quest has a bit of richness to it as far as what you're doing and how you're uncovering each tower and how you're progressing through the zone, you go to each tower and you're still killing 6 ghouls or 6 worms or bugs, and you still have to do that per tower. And then once you've killed and done so many quests, you move on to the next sort of tower and you move through the zone. It's not necessarily the moving from tower to tower that I don't like. It's more each quest you do at each tower becomes repetitive and boring, and for that reason alone, it is one of my worst zones one of the zones I dislike the most. So the next zone here, guys, is Abyssal Depths. Again, this zone is pretty and it looks so great, and it fits the theme of what they were going for with the underwater zones. But with this large zone, there's just not that much to do. It is massive, and well, looking back now, once I've leveled in this area, I really had no reason to come back other than to record and make this video. I've been here such a little amount of times that it's probably my least visited place in World of Warcraft. That said, there was just so much swimming and or riding around on a seahorse in between each zone and questing area, each questing area, that there's just so much space in between. And it just felt like wasted space, basically. They could have done so much more for the space they were given. They could have done so much to bring life to the zone, but it just feels dead. I guess that is part of the theme, but it just feels wasted and, yeah, lifeless, basically. Okay guys, the hinterlands, and I wish I did not have to put this on this list, as it is a great looking zone. It is a bright and vibrant zone. The color palette is so good, but when you get into that troll area at the southern point of the map, it becomes a grind. I don't know how many times I've gone up and down those troll stairs, and if you die while leveling up or anywhere on those troll stairs, it's another run back. Guys, the quest line on that area alone really nullifies this whole zone for me. It's so beautiful and everything flows up until that point, that then anything after that or in that troll area, it just becomes useless. It could have been so much more streamlined in that area. Instead of running up, doing 3 or 4 quests, running back down, going back up to do 3 or 4 quests, coming back down, going back up, oh, I died, and then you have to run. It's just too much up and down on that area, and that for me made this zone a little bit meh at the end. And Turin Waifs. Argus was such a good setting for this content in Legion. It tied up so many quests, so much lore. It was great. Although, when questing in this zone, I did it mostly in tank spec. There are so many mobs in this zone that it was hard at times to move from one place to another place without being, pulled more mobs than needed, basically. Furthermore, I don't believe I ever brought my priest or mage here without being in a group. The fear of being dismounted was almost guaranteed, and having to fight off packs and packs and packs of mobs just became an annoyance. The zone itself was beautiful. It had so many buildings, it had so much vista appeal to it, but when you brought a clothy, when you brought a priest, and you just simply wanted to get to your world quest, and you pulled 5 packs of mobs, got dismounted, and you had to deal with that, it was such a time waste. And I think they could have done something a little bit better with this, either gotten rid of the dazed effect or simply spaced out the mobs just a little bit more, especially towards the end of the expansion. At the beginning of the expansion, I can understand they're trying to go for a theme here, or they're trying to go for some way of emphasizing how many demons are in the place, but a patch or 2 later, they should have just spaced it out a little bit to make it a bit more easier, streamlined for people to get into the zone and quest. Wow, there's so much to love about Draenor, but Tanaan Jungle in Draenor is one of my disliked zones in Draenor itself. The zone felt small, so yes, there were some areas you could go and quest in, or go and do world content in, go and kill some rares. There were some areas you could definitely do that, but for me, it just felt small for some reason. It might have felt small because I was only moving from Lion's Watch to the Hellfire Citadel area. Maybe that's what made it feel small. But once you've explored all the areas and you've done the majority of the quest line, there's not much to do in this zone. And even though as beautiful and as packed as it really is, I did not feel the grandeur of this area. I simply felt like it was just too small in what they offered, and it could have been so much bigger, or the pathing could have been so much bigger per area, and you could have felt a little bit better. But Tanaan Jungle for me was one of my disliked zones in Draenor. Okay, now we're back in Legion and in Suramar. Now, I would like to state and add here that I do not hate this zone overall. The zone itself is fine, but I do dislike Suramar City. Not for its beauty, not for its scale, all of that is so great, but for just simply how many quests are in the city alone. It might have been because these quests were rolled out and spaced out in between, you know, sort of mini tiny patches, and it was sort of gated behind story. But it felt like you were in that city for so long and you were questing in that city for so long. It really was a lot of time spent in one little area. Granted, the city is massive and there has so much lore potential, but overall, guys, it just felt like there was just too much to do in one small location. And for that, for me, it put me off leveling alts in Suramar. I really avoided Suramar City so much on so many of my alts. I wanted to get away from it because I spent so much time on my main in Suramar City alone. For that reason alone, Suramar City itself, a part of Suramar Zone, has to be probably my disliked area. Okay, Thor, thank you so much for asking and requesting this, my Super 6 worst zones of World of Warcraft. It's actually harder than you think to pick out 6 worst zones. So guys, with that said, leave your comments in the comment section down below. What are your 6 worst zones of World of Warcraft, and a brief description of why. Or simply go to my Discord page and throw up your 6 worst zones of World of Warcraft. Thor, I hope I've answered this for you. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I would also like to mention that my merchandise store is up and running. The link to that is in the description. Head to my Discord page if you want to request a video. If you want to request a topic or a question asked, please go there. That's the only way that you're going to be able to get a hold of me quite regularly, actually. But overall, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a great day.